Hi guys, welcome to our first Revlon Masterclass live stream. Today I have with me Vongai and Mihlali, who will be running us through our latest eye products and showing us tips and tricks on how to achieve these beautiful looks. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that we are running a competition where you and your mom can win amazing eye hamper. All you have to do is just sit and watch to see how you can win. Over to you, ladies.
Hey guys, my name is Vongai. I'm a makeup artist, a freelance makeup artist, a beauty blogger, as well as a beauty vlogger.
Hi everyone, my name is Mihlali. I'm also a makeup artist. I'm also a beauty vlogger and blogger.
Cool. So Mihlali, before we start applying your eyeshadow, do you need to prep your eyes and how do you do that?
Yes, definitely. So I think it's very important to prep your eyes. I would use a concealer and I'm about to get into that right now. So I use a concealer to prep the eyes, and this just gives you an even canvas for the eyeshadow. And I'm going to be using the Revlon Color Stay Concealer. I'm just going to mix these two shades, deep and medium deep.
And speaking of the best way to apply eyeshadow, how can you get the best color payoff from your shadow? Is there a way to amplify it if your shadow isn't pigmented enough? How do you two ladies get around that?
So you see, when you want your eyeshadow to be like opaque, to be vivid, to be intense, you can either use a concealer or you can use your primer, your eye primer. But you know, like in most cases, just go for your concealer because that's what everyone has on hand. So take your concealer and then just drag it onto your eyelid, blend it in, and then start picking your eyeshadow. That's going to make your eyeshadow stay longer, and it's also going to make the colors look more brighter and more vivid.
So I'm just filling in Vongai's eyebrows using the Color Stay Brow Creator.
So what do you love about the Color Stay Brow Creator? I know that some pencils tend to be really hard and they don't give the brows like a dimensional look or a realistic one. So do you find that that's the case with this one, or?
Definitely, because the tip is very fine, so it's easy to achieve that whole natural feathered brow look. That's currently the trend. People are moving away from intense Instagram brows, and I also love that it's a 2-in-1. So you have a spoolie on the one end, which is very important if you're trying to achieve natural brows, because you want to brush through your hairs and make sure there aren't any harsh lines, as well as a convenient fine tip. You don't have to worry about sharpening a pencil.
And when it comes to getting ready, do you prefer, is there a right way of doing your makeup? Do you either start with your brows or your eyeshadow, your foundation? What do you ladies prefer?
Like, I always emphasize on starting with your eyes, because I mean, when you start doing your eyeshadow, you never know like if they're going to be fallouts or not. So always start with your eyes, and if in case there is fallouts, then you can literally like erase the fallouts and then do your foundation. But then if you start with your foundation, with your base, then do your eyes after, it's just going to make everything messy. So always start with your eyes and then do the rest of your face.
I also recommend that you start with your eyes. And there's also been people on social media, well, beauty bloggers are questioning whether if you should start with your foundation first or with your brows. Which one do you prefer?
I always start with my brows.
Me too.
Always, but now you know what I do. I always go in with my concealer underneath my brows, and then after my foundation, that's when I shape the top. I don't know what's your technique, but like I always feel like if I do the top of my brows after my foundation, then it's more cleaner, more defined, which is just my technique. It's always about preference, honestly. It's always about preference.
So I'm just gonna clean up your brows using that is way too light. I'm using the Revlon Color Stay Concealer in the shade Deep, and I'm also using a brush just to make sure that the brows are concealed very well and everything just looks very clean.
When it comes to the actual shade of the brow pencil, is there a certain color you should go for? I know a lot of people would go for black because that's the color that they think the brow should be, and it sometimes tends to look a bit harsh and hard. What are your ladies' tips on that?
Okay, so this is the thing. It always depends with also the color of your hair, but also it depends with your skin tone. I've noticed like when I'm doing makeup on super dark skin girls, sometimes I have to reach for that black because also their skin tone is very very dark. So make it light depending on your skin tone. You can grab your black, you can grab your brown, just depending on your skin tone and depending on the color of your hair. But if you look closely enough, there is no one that has got like super super black hair. Everybody has got maybe like dark brown hair, light brown, etc. But the thing is, just make your brows light, don't make them too harsh like Instagram brows. It's a no. And
I agree. I agree with you. It really just depends on the person's skin tone as well as the natural color of their brow hairs.
Oh, so we're cutting to a commercial break. We'll be back right soon.
Do you have a foundation? See that foundation?
Okay, ladies, we're back. And I want to find out, picking the perfect eyeshadow is only half the battle, but mastering how to use the shades is a whole nother struggle. What color palettes would you tend to advise for a beginner who doesn't really know how to blend properly or, just gets overwhelmed by the different options out there? What color, like shades, would you recommend?
Warm,
like a novice.
Like warm tones,
neutrals.
yeah, warm neutral tones. There's this Maverick, you see, with the Revlon Color Stay lookbooks. There is the lookbook Maverick. It's perfect for beginners. I did emphasize even on that. Like, if you're a beginner, if you're scared of color, if you're scared of, like maybe too bright shimmer shades, go for that little palette. It's gonna change your makeup game. Like your everyday makeup is gonna. It's also my favorite, like everyday makeup palette. So yeah, just like gravitate towards neutral tones. That's the best advice I can give you.
Okay, so now I'm going to be going in with the Maverick eyeshadow palette, and I'm going to be using this coral shade here just to create the transition shade.
So when it comes to blending, right, or the lack thereof, blending or the lack thereof can make or break your eyeshadow look. How do you perfect this technique like a pro, like you guys? We know that sometimes, you'll try and do a cut crease or do a transition color, but like the colors won't mix properly. And how would you advise our viewers on perfecting that? What's the technique that you could no-fail technique that you can recommend?
Is this for eyeshadow?
Yeah, eyeshadow.
I think brushes are also very important for eyeshadow. You want to make sure that you have the correct tools in order to achieve that beautiful, flawless eyeshadow look. And also the correct products. Some products are not great quality, which makes them even more difficult to blend. So it's important to also invest in eyeshadows that are very good and pigmented. And often people think that it has to be expensive to be a good product. But here we have Revlon, which has very affordable yet extremely pigmented and easy to work with eyeshadow palettes.
So we have a question from one of our viewers. Zomti loves the new trending brow look, but wants to know, does she need to lay the brows first?
What do you mean lay?
I think maybe like shaping them before.
Yes. I think it's important, especially when you're a beginner, in order to know what your natural shape is and be able to work according to your natural shape. You don't have to go for the arched brow that everyone does. It's important to know the natural shape of your own brows. So getting your brows groomed is a very crucial step in terms of learning how to fill in your brows and how to perfect them.
You know, like what Mimi says, always like follow the natural shape of your brows. Don't try to manipulate it to create an arch where there's no arch, or to try elongate it where it's not longer like that. Because now, once you do that, it's going to change like your whole facial structure. So always follow the natural shape of your brow and don't manipulate it. Don't. And always like start with your brows like she said, yeah.
And just to show you guys the 3 shades that I did use, I first went in with this coral light shade over here for the transition color, and then I mixed these 3 matte shades over here just to deepen the crease. Those who don't know what a crease is, it's sort of like that dip, and you just after your eyeball in between the part of your skull, the eye socket.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of creases, ladies, we know that like this is like one of the looks, the timeless looks when it comes to eyeshadows. How would you advise our viewers to perfect this look? Because it is quite tricky as well. What kind of products do you need when you want to do a cut crease? And yeah, how do you...
You definitely need a concealer. Like, concealer is what matters most when you're doing like your cut crease, because that's what defines the cut crease. So first off, go in with your, of course, like blend in your transition shade like she did, and then what should I do?
Yeah, you can close
my eyes.
Yes, please.
Okay, so go in first with your transition shade, and then after you've gone in with your transition shade, take your concealer and then cut your crease, ending in like the socket of the eye. And then once that is done, like Mimi is doing, pick in your shimmer shades. Like I always prefer going in with a shimmer shade for the cut crease, because then it's more out there instead of using like your matte shades. And yeah, and then just blend. If you want like a soft cut crease, blend in this part of...
You don't have to have a very harsh...
Like a harsh defined line. I always find it like cringe-worthy. So like blend in your crease as well.
Okay, so the next question from our viewers is Abungile, who wants to know, why do you put concealer on your hand to use it?
Because the applicator isn't gonna give me enough what is it called, precision. It's not gonna create the perfect line that I want to achieve. So if I use the applicator, if you guys look at the applicator, you'll see that it's really like a normal applicator. So it's always best to go in with a brush, especially when doing a cut crease, because you want a perfect line. And also it's hygienic when you're working on someone else's face.
And also you put it on your outer hand, because you don't want to mess up, you know. So no touching. That's why we always use like the outer of your hand. It's convenient as well, instead of using like a mixing palette. I think if it answers your question, yeah.
Okay, so Garopa wants to know, how do you make brows look on point but natural?
Fine tip pencil, or even a powder. I actually really enjoy products with powder, so you can always go in with a fine tip pencil, and then if you feel like that's too natural for you, that you can go even in with the eyeshadow of yours, like a brown eyeshadow.
And also, the one thing that you should remember when you're doing that, remember you're filling in your brows, you're not drawing them. So do it lightly, you know, like attack the areas where it feels like your brows are sparse. So don't draw. You are not drawing.
Yes,
you are filling in like that. Don't.
So now I'm going in with the Player palette, and I'm going to be using this very vibrant, beautiful green over here.
Yes. I'm excited about that. Super excited.
It's such a beautiful color, hey, and it's so pigmented.
Next question from our reader is from our viewer is Gaugelo. She wants to know more about transition shades for darker shades, and whether it's always with orange tones.
It's always okay. I'm gonna say for me, it's always warm tones. Because of my complexion, I'd rather go for warm tones always. I don't know what do you go for, Mimi?
It depends on the colors I'm gonna be using when I'm creating the eye look. So for example, if I'm going for a very purple eye look, I might use an orange transition color, but then go over with like a matte lavender, anything that's lighter and anything that complements your skin tone. Like for example, using a lavender on your skin tone may not necessarily work if you're going to be for the transition color, but you can always use it on the actual lid when you're cutting your crease. So I think those are things that you learn over time, but as a beginner, I would definitely recommend that you stick to warmer tones for your transition color. And the purpose of having a transition color is that it just creates a beautiful transition between the lid, whatever color you're using, be it a black color for a smoky eye, be it a dark brown. So that's the reason why we use transition colors, because imagine if there was no eyeshadow here and all you can see is this green cut crease, it wouldn't look as good as it looks with the transition color.
Great. So Zomti wants to know if you can give more advice on how to use brightly colored eyeshadows.
Go for it. I just go for it. I feel like people are so reserved when it comes to eyeshadow. People don't want to do these bright colors like the ones Mimi are using on me because maybe of complexion, because they don't want people to look at them and think, you crazy, you look crazy.
Or what to wear with it, what hair to do. Just go for it.
Just go for it. Like for me, makeup has no rules. You do what you feel like is going to work for you. Yeah.
Okay, so up next we have a bit of a technical question from Mila. She wants to know, why is it that your foundation can look white with flash photography?
Undertones.
Yeah, so if you look at me and Mimi, she's light, she's like way lighter, I'm like way darker on the other side. But if you look at us both closely, we are warm. We're not cool toned. There's different undertones, like there's cool tones, there's warm tones, orange, red, stuff like that. So you need to know your undertone. Once you learn your undertone, then you're not gonna have a lot of like flashbacks when you get like flash photography. So learn to make your foundation correctly, like know your undertone. That way you won't have like flashbacks.
And also concealers and translucent powders play a huge role.
Yes.
A lot of people aren't aware that there are different shades in translucent powders, so you don't have to use one that's completely translucent. If you're extremely dark, then use something with a yellow undertone or orange undertone, like a banana powder or anything with the orange undertone, because it's much better than using translucent, because that's probably going to have flashback on you. So that also goes for concealers.
Yeah.
As much as you want your concealer to be extremely light, you don't want to look ashy.
Yeah.
Cool. And Gaugelo also wants to know, when cutting the crease, is it important to put powder after the concealer?
No. Don't do that, because
you want... Sorry.
You can go ahead. Okay, so the reason why you're using concealer is for the eyeshadow to be...
pop.
Yeah. So once you start setting your concealer, then you're literally
away from that.
Yeah, you're taking away from that. You're literally like making it look dull. So don't set your concealer. I always see people setting their concealer, and I'm like, I'm not sure. Maybe you can set like the top part here, but
not for the cut.
Not
crease.
for the lid. Don't do that.
Way.
Which way? This way.
Okay. Next question from Abongile. She wants to know, how do you tackle eyeshadow for someone with hooded eyes?
So when you're doing a cut crease on someone who has hooded eyes, I have a little bit of a hooded eye. So what I like to do is I'll apply the concealer on the lid, and then I'll blink up. That way I know where my crease should cut. It's obviously going to cut a little bit higher than where your crease actually does cut. And that's best because you'll also prevent your shimmery shadow transferring onto your matte one. So that's really how you just work around it. You sort of create your own crease.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question is from Tobega. She wants to know, how do you make sure that your foundation doesn't make you look shiny and create smile lines? Setting spray,
powder as well.
And prepping your skin.
Prep your skin.
So how do you prep your skin?
Primers, masking, all that sort, scrubbing. You obviously don't have to do this every morning, but I mean, okay, I can't talk when I'm doing brows, guys. That's the other thing. You can't think hard when you're doing brows. You can't talk. So I'm just going to wait for Mimi to finish doing my brows. Should I go on?
Yeah, go on.
All right. So that's the thing. You have to prep your skin. You have to look after your skin first and foremost before you even start thinking about putting on foundation. Make sure your canvas is great, because then your makeup is gonna sit like perfectly. So a scrub, mask, put your primer, and then blend your foundation perfectly.
And also understanding your skin type plays a huge role in that. Don't just purchase any primer. Understand, do you have acne prone skin? Do you have oily skin? Do you have extremely dry skin? You want to hydrate your skin, because also if you have dry skin and you're using a mattifying primer, then that creates even more dry and cracky looking skin, which can lead to, you know, the smile lines and whatnot. So make sure that you're using the correct primer for your skin type.
Yeah, and also know that you should use the correct foundation, like she's saying, the correct primer.
There's also different foundations.
Like the Revlon Color Stay foundation has got different foundations for different types of skins, because there's the one for normal to combination skin, and then the one for combination to oily skin. So like always look at things like that. Which one is the correct foundation for your skin type?
Cool. The next question is from Togozile. She wants to know, do you need different brushes for eyeshadow, and how do you distinguish between them?
100%. Please buy brushes. Please invest in brushes, guys. I'm begging you. You cannot have two brushes and rely on them to create the perfect eye. You need a blending brush. You need a brush for the crease. You need a brush for smoking out, a concealer brush, a cut crease. You need brushes.
You can do this. No? That doesn't work. Your hands, stay away. Like your hands should stay away from your face. So brushes. You need brushes, definitely. Yeah.
Next question is from Lindo Kuhle. She wants to know, do you wait for the concealer to dry before you use a shimmer shade when cutting a crease?
No.
Don't
apply too much concealer.
Because then also your shimmer shades or whatever that you're applying on the concealer is going to shift if the concealer is too much. So just a little bit. In fact, with everything, a little bit is enough.
Rather build on the product if you feel like you don't have enough. The moment you put on too much concealer when you're cutting a crease, you're going to end up with lines or even the eyeshadow separating. So use very little product, but obviously enough to create that clean canvas so that you can go on top with eyeshadow.
Great. And so Bushe Bembelo wants to know, can you cut a crease if you have small eyelids?
Yes, you can. Like Mimi said, manipulate it. Like blink up and see where your eyelid is gonna end with the concealer. And I mean, you can always raise as well your cut, like bring it further up. Yeah. So you can. Everyone can do a cut crease. I mean, if Chinese people can do a cut crease, so can you, girl. You can do it. You can.
So Mihlali, I see you cleaning up the excess product that fell on Vongai's face.
Yeah.
In an instance where you would start with your foundation, how would you actually clean that up, and leave a perfect, seamless looking face?
So over here we started with foundation because it's all about eyes. So what I should have done before I started doing her makeup is pack on setting powder so that we can dust it off, because now the eyeshadow has stained her under eyes a bit, so we might need to go in with the wipe and redo the concealer. But we'll try correct that when I'm done with eyeshadow.
The next question is from Sandy. She would like to know, what foundation do you to use or prefer? From the Revlon range.
I mix the Revlon Color Stay. What's the name? The Full Cover Foundation. Yeah, and then I also mix it together with the liquid combination Color Stay foundation. So I mix the two. Why do I mix the two? I've got dry skin, so I prefer to mix the two so that I don't look cracky. You know, learn your skin type. We go back to that. So I mix the two, the one that's super matte and the one that's meant for like oily skin. And then
I also like to mix because I do have oily skin. So I like the mattifying one, but funny enough, I'm someone with oily skin who doesn't want extremely matte makeup. I prefer to have a dewy finish. So I always find that mixing foundations works best for me. So I usually mix with the one that's for combination skin, as well as the mattifying one with the full coverage.
Okay, so I hope you've been listening closely to our two beauties here, because it's competition time. So, to stand a chance to win an eye makeup hamper for you and your mom, name one of the new Revlon eye products that we've used today. Comment below to stand a chance of winning, and we'll be announcing the winner before the end of our masterclass.
Yay! Okay, so now I'm going back into the player palette. Well, I'm first going to cut the crease. Please can you look this way? Thank you.
Do you find that it's also important to put concealer on the brows to give it more of a realistic look, or can you get away with actually not doing that step?
Concealing brows is important in my opinion because you can make a mess when you're filling in your brows, and you don't want to end up with extremely untidy looking brows unless your brows are very well groomed. Like Vongai's brows were very well groomed, so I actually didn't need to conceal. I really didn't need to. Whereas I sometimes miss my waxing appointments for my brows, and I mean it's also painful, so it's something I avoid doing. So I find I have to conceal in order to achieve a beautiful and flawless looking brow.
Okay, so next question is from Vuyogazi. She wants to know, when is the right step to use pressed powder? I think she's trying to understand in what part of her getting ready process would she actually use pressed powder. Is it after she's done with her makeup, after her foundation, before?
Okay, so it always depends with how you do your makeup. If you're a full face like myself, so after you've set your face, after you're done with your contouring, then you go in with your setting powder just to correct, the color of your face. If you're someone who only does foundation without highlighting and contouring, just after your foundation, then you can go in and set your face with the pressed powder.
Please don't open my eyes.
Next question is from Gaugelo again. She wants to know how to get a winged liner look the same on both eyes.
Sorry, before we get into that, just to give you guys a tip, if you're cutting your crease and you feel like you've put your concealer too high, just grab an angled brush and clean up the concealer, a clean brush of course. That way you'll have a defined line. As you can see how flawless and beautiful that cut crease concealer looks.
Yes.
Obviously also because my model is absolutely stunning. So now I'm going to go in with the green shadow from the player palette again. So I'm just doing exactly what I did on the right eye.
Okay, what was that question again?
Sorry, please.
It was about the winged liner and how to get them on both eyes.
Can it ever look the same, Mimi?
Oh. You know, someone once asked me on my channel, why don't you ever do a wing liner? I don't need that kind of pressure when I'm in front of a camera. Honestly, it's so difficult. It's very difficult, but it's something that you practice, and I think after doing it for a while, you almost perfect it. But it's sort of like brows. Some days are good days, some days are bad days. And
so what I always do, I always start with the outer corner. That's where I draw my wing, and I make sure that it points like upwards. And then once I reach like the end of the angle, I drag it back into the eye like that. For me, I find it to be very easier. But honestly, guys, with like a winged eye, you need to do it every day. Otherwise, you forget. It's like brows. Today you might get it. Tomorrow you might not. So,
and also a tip is if you're still learning, then you can use tape. Yes. Sticky tape, that way you will create your perfect wing, and then once you have the hang of it, you don't have to use tape anymore.
Nina wants to know, what are the essential go-to products that you use when you're on the go?
Lip gloss.
All the time.
I always have to have lip gloss with me, and I don't wear foundation and makeup in general every day. And what else? Mascara. I love volumizing mascaras, and I also love the fact that the Revlon mascara is also waterproof, so it won't transfer. You find that if you're not wearing a full face of makeup, and if you're wearing sunscreen, which is oily, your mascara can easily transfer onto your face. So wearing a mascara that's waterproof also helps. So I think for me it's mascara and lip gloss.
For me, guys, it's a full face. I never have an in-between, so I'm not the best person to advise with that. Because for me, it's either I do not have makeup or I have
Is she
makeup.
talking about essentials in your bag or on your face?
Essentials on when you're on the go. So I guess
Full
it
face
would be,
or nothing.
Full face or nothing.
I agree. Full face or nothing.
It's like
So I
that.
thought she meant in your bag.
No, guys, it's foundation, it's concealer, it's eyeshadow, it's eyelashes, it's contour, it's highlight,
Everything.
it's everything.
Because it just, once you know how to do a full face,
You can-
something's missing.
Yeah.
So I'm just creating a transition with this dark olive green color over here, and I'm just using a flat fluffy brush. I'm just packing on the product, and you just blend as you go along.
So ladies, now that you've all both used the Looksbook palette, what would you advise when you want to create a smoky eye look without having raccoon eyes? Because I think that's one of the issues with like creating a smoky look, is that it tends to just look very dark around your eyes. What advice would you give our viewers on that?
Transition shade is very important when doing like a smoky eye. Always go in with you see the warmer shades in the Maverick palette. The Maverick palette has like most warm shades. So go in like with those ones first, and then go in with your black, because if you just start picking on the black first before the transition shade, you're gonna look like a panda. You're gonna look like you've got like black eyes, you know. So always go in with the transition shade first, and then blend in like your black and the darker shades for the smoky eye.
I agree. And also your eyeshadow should never touch your brows.
Yes.
Is that the best way to prevent?
100%.
Cool. So Sandra wants to know, what can someone use to hide pigmentation?
Concealer.
Color correcting concealer.
So contrary to popular belief, people always think that you need to cover your spots before your foundation. That's not true. Or your hyperpigmentation. You can even do your foundation first, and then after that go in with your concealer on areas you feel like there is hyperpigmentation, or there is dark marks and stuff. So your concealer, use your concealer.
Great. So Rue wants to know how long it took the two of you to hone your skills to where they are now. I know it's a lot of practice, but
I mean, sometimes, like even as of today, sometimes I feel like I have my good makeup days and
my bad
makeup days. But honestly, for me, I started doing makeup when I was young, because I remember when I was in high school, I used to get in so much trouble for doing makeup, like coming to school with eyeliner, black eyeliner, and they would stop me by the gate and be like, why do you have black eyes? So it's been long for me. It's been long, guys, like long.
So I'm just going to go back into the Maverick palette, and I'm going to use this coral shade as well as this burgundy one to smoke out Vongai's lower lash line. Please look up.
speaking of lower lash lines, Mihlali, Kaugelo wants to know, for someone who barely has any lower lashes, how can she make them pop?
With a lengthening and volumizing mascara. I just pile on mascara, especially when it comes to lower lash line, because I would say get false lashes, because they are false lower lash line lashes, but that's going to be so much admin. Imagine having to do that every single time you wear makeup. So I would just recommend that you invest in good mascaras, and if you can also get a primer as well. There are certain primers that even lengthen more than just using a mascara on its own. It just gives you a better outcome. So invest in volumizing and lengthening mascaras.
Yeah, like you see like what Mimi's saying, she's like layer your mascara, wait for it to dry, put the first coat, let it dry, do the second one, let it dry, do the third one. And I barely have on any bottom lashes, but after I do that, they're sort of like...
So how many coats would you put on?
3, 4.
Me too.
Yeah.
So is that like the max? Because that was my next question actually. What is the right amount of coats should you put for mascara?
3. Until it starts looking clumpy, yeah.
And how do you prevent that, like the clumpiness, and just the drying out of your mascara from the actual...
So when you're doing your Okay, just wait for me, guys.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. So when you're doing your mascara, when you're drawing out the lid, don't pump it back in. Like, draw it out and put it in back nicely, and then roll it inside the bottle and take it out. Like, don't pump it back in, because when you're doing that, you're actually pumping back oxygen in it, which makes it clumpy and which makes it dry. So yeah, that's another tip for your mascara. And as well, wait for it to dry. Don't do double coats when your mascara is still wet.
That makes it
Clumpy, yeah. So just wait for it to dry first. And also go in with your spoolie first and separate your bottom lashes, and then do like your mascara.
So speaking of mascara, I'm now going to go in with the volumizing waterproof mascara from Revlon.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
I absolutely love the brush because it gets into the hairs.
Yeah.
Please, can you look at your knee?
For someone who has curly lashes, Mihlali, do you think that the volumizing mascara is actually good for them? Does it work? If you have really curly lashes, does it give them the volume? Does it separate them?
Definitely, because Vongai has quite curly lashes, and as you can see, I haven't messed up the eyeshadow at all. So the brush is the perfect size; it's not too big, and also the way it's shaped in the center, it's slightly narrower, so it allows you to really get into the hairs. And also another thing is, if you're trying not to mess up your eyeshadow, especially if you're doing someone else's makeup, you can just tug on the lid a bit. That creates enough space for you to go in with the wand.
Now onto a foundation question. Noluvuyo wants to know, when traveling, she often forgets her foundation and would like to know if there are any alternatives if you don't have one close by. How do you ladies get around that? I know you guys carry like full bags of full faces. It's either that or nothing. But how do you get around a situation where you don't have foundation close by? How do you cheat that?
Concealer
and powder.
Yeah.
Because you can definitely use powder as a foundation, especially if you're someone who doesn't really have problematic skin, so you're not trying to hide any scars. But even if you do have problematic skin, you can go in with your concealer first and then set your face with your powder. Just make sure that everything is the same skin tone, because you don't want to be using the concealer that you highlight your face as foundation, because that will just look off.
Yeah.
Okay, so we see you pretty much at one of the last steps, which is the mascara. Everyone wants to know if you guys can give us tips on how to apply false lashes, and how do you hide the glue?
So when applying false lashes, you need to first measure them against your eye to see the width of your eye, and then cut the band if it's too long. A mistake that people often make is that they leave the lash band too long and they stick it too close to your tear duct. And when your eyes are sensitive, actually anyone's eyes, if you have something right there irritating your eyes water, and that naturally will just lift your lashes. So make sure that you cut and measure your lashes, and buy a proper lash glue. Invest in a good quality lash glue. That way your lashes will stay on for longer. And if you're trying to not get the glue to show, especially if you're a beginner, don't buy a black eyelash glue. Invest in an invisible one, so that even if you make mistakes, it's not going to mess up the rest of your makeup. Do you have any tips?
My tips, I've got like super curly lashes. This is gonna sound very funny, but do you know, guys, what I actually do? I hold my eyelid like this down, and then I look in the mirror underneath, and then I take my lash and then I press it right on my lash line, and then that's it. Instead of me looking, because I've got super sensitive and watery eyes, so if I do this, I'll probably pop my eyes and start crying. So I'd rather hold my eyelid like that and then press the lash on on my lash line. That's my tip.
So we have another question from Amanda. She says she's going to a wedding soon and wants to try a soft glam look. What palette from the Color Stay Looks book palette would you recommend?
Maverick, definitely.
Let me show you. This is the palette we are speaking about. It has beautiful neutral shades, warm tones, which are very easy to work with if you're a beginner, and gold shimmery shades, which is usually the ideal shades for for weddings and those kind of occasions.
See, that's like, well, this is almost closer to my skin tone, but like You can see it's very, very warm and very beginner friendly. You can see that.
And even the gold.
The gold, yes.
So definitely get this
the
palette.
Maverick.
Ladies, so Dineva wants to know, have either of you tried clear mascara before?
Yes, I use it for my brows, to set my brows. That's what I use.
The brow
it for.
and eyelash gels.
Yeah. So the other trick actually that you can do, if your mascara is drying out, you can even take it out and take that brush and use it for setting your brows. Like if you want that feathery, like breathable.
Like your old mascara.
Yeah, take it and then just use it for, instead of buying like clear mascara.
So now I'm just going to go in with the Revlon Color Stay Exactify Liquid Eyeliner just to create a halo eye. As you guys can see, it's very gold and shimmery, which is beautiful. Not a halo eye. What do you call it when you line your crease? It is a halo eye.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. We're going to do that on my eyes.
So since both of you have tried the Exactify liner, do you guys have any tips on applying it? Because it is quite different from the typical eyeliners, liquid eyeliners that are out right now. Do you have any recommendations or tips on how to apply it?
Honestly, I think it's the easiest to use because it has like a rolling applicator on it. So you bound not to make mistakes when you use it, unlike the ones that have like a fine tip, pointed tip that you have to literally like control. So just go on with it because it's just gonna glide and go the way you want it to go. So honestly, that's my tip. It's easy. It's so easy, so easy. So
this is what the tip looks like. So
yeah.
You literally can draw a straight line as you use the liner.
So Tanoza wants to know, for beginners on a budget, what are the best options for makeup brushes, and what do you recommend for starting out? What are the type of essential brushes do you need to build on?
Well, Revlon has pretty good brushes. If you go to Discam, you also find very good affordable brushes in the makeup accessories section. And which other?
Like a powder brush, a concealer brush, the one that you're going to use for shaping your brows. And you need a fluffy blending brush for your eyeshadow. And you need an angled brush, the one that you're going to use for your blush and your contouring. I think like those are the four main, isn't it?
And did you mention highlighting? And a lip.
Oh, and a highlighting.
You can also invest in a lip brush.
Yes. So yeah, those are like the most basic brushes you could get for like beginner friendly makeup.
So Sia wants to know if it's easy creating graphic eye looks with the Exactify liner, because that's also a big trend that we see on runways and it's fun. So they want to know if is it easy to create graphic looks with
like avant-garde. Yeah, it's very easy because also the Exactify eyeliners, they're out there. They're good for all skin types and skin tones. So yeah, skin tones, not skin types. Skin tones. So yeah, they are like really perfect. Is it five different colors or four? There's four different colors. So you can literally like play around with them to create different eye looks.
So yeah, I think we're done.
Yeah.
With the eyes.
Yeah. And then we could put lashes. I want lashes. Yeah.
Okay.
You can.
Should we? Okay, where are they?
I'm going to grab lashes. Left them at the table.
Thank you.
And the glue.
So we have one more question before we finish our live, and it's from Kagiso, an inspiring makeup artist. She wants to know, what are the first products to purchase when you are starting out?
Primer, foundation, concealer, powder, and what else? Mimi, what else? Setting spray and a lipstick. Blush and a setting spray.
And also a powder that's darker than your skin tone. It's very important to contour your face because it adds dimension and it adds color back into the face. Usually when people use foundation only, they look very flat and artificial because in reality your face is different skin tones and you have shape. So
Yeah.
once you apply foundation, you sort of lose that shape. So it's important to bring back the shape and definition on your face with contouring. So always invest in a powder that's either one shade or two shades darker than your skin tone, depending on how intense you want your contour to be.
So one more question about the Exactify liner from Mia. She wants to know, can the tape method work using this type of liner? If you like a tape to guide the shape of your...
Yes, it works for any kind of liner. It's gonna work for the Exactify liners. So yeah, go in with the tape if you feel like. But like I said, it's very easy to use. It's like you're not gonna make mistakes, guys. Literally, I know that because of the bow applicator. But yes, you can go ahead and use the tape if you wanna be on the safe side.
Cool. This for liner.
Yes.
And do you also put eyeliner at the bottom of your eye, just generally when you do your makeup?
Yes, I do. Depending with the kind of look that I'm going for, I can use a black eyeliner or I can use a white eyeliner. But I like white because it sort of like opens up my eyes and makes them more bright and more bigger.
If you don't want to use an eyeliner, you can also even use a dark eyeshadow.
Shadow, yeah.
Cool. So Mihlali, can you talk us through what you're doing now with the lashes? I think that's one of the highly anticipated steps.
So
it's quite tricky.
I just cut the lashes because I just measured them on Vongai's eye and eyes. Now I'm going to put glue on the tape of the lashes. Just not too much glue. If you're someone who doesn't have control over how much product you use, you can squeeze some onto the back of your hand. But I just apply right from the tube. And then you're just going to let the lashes sit for a few seconds because you want the glue to be tacky before you stick them on.
Vongai, can you tell us more about your favorite Exactify colors and which is your go-to?
My go-to is the gold one, the one with the gold lid. What's the name? Yes, that's my favorite because I feel like it's warm. It's also very friendly. Like I can do any color, guys. Like I can do anything, but like the gold one with the gold lid is more friendly. And yeah, that's my favorite.
Mihlali, do you have a go-to color?
I like the gold. When I was doing my makeup, I just leaned towards the gold, and I knew that the gold was the one that I wanted to use.
And the black too. The black is nice as well. Yeah, yeah.
I don't remember which lash I stuck glue on first.
We have another brow question from Mariska. She wants to know, at first, she thought that she was using a color that was too dark for her, but even after she went lighter with her brow pencil, it still didn't look right. Could it be that she's too heavy with her hand, or maybe she's not brushing or blending it properly?
Could be that she already has full brows.
Yeah, and there's no need to go with too much product.
Yes.
So it could be that she's heavy with her hand, or she could be using the wrong product.
So if she already has like maybe thick brows, I'm assuming, that's why I'm giving out that advice. If she has thick brows, best for her to just go in with the brow pencil on areas she feels like it's sparse. Don't fill in the whole brow. If sorry. If the brows are already thick, then don't do anything to them. Just shape them with a concealer. I wish I had brows like that. Then yeah, if the brows are too light, then be light with your hand. Don't draw, like I said before, don't draw your brows. Fill them in instead. Then yeah.
Okay, so we have another question from Zomti. She wants to know how much highlighter can be used and how do you apply, or highlighter should be used. I'm assuming this is a highlighter palette and not highlighter and concealer.
So with highlighter, It's very tricky because you can go from looking glowy to looking like foil. So you need to take your setting spray, spray it on your on your face first, and then after that, like once your face is dewy, spray a little bit on your brush as well, on your highlighting brush, and then go in with the highlighter like super lightly so that you're glowing, not that like you're shining. You don't want to shine, you want to glow. So yeah, spray your face first and then go in with a sort of like not damp, but like a wet brush.
Don't you feel like that makes it a bit too pigmented?
I feel like it makes it softer.
Really?
Yeah, I do, because I find that with a lot of highlighters, they sort of like fly. You see, like when you put in the brush, they start like they're like glittery. So I feel like it makes it more softer. Yeah. Do you feel like it makes it too pigmented?
Well, usually because sometimes I wet my brush when I'm doing my eyeshadow, so I'd assume that it would have the same effect.
No, like if you make it
like that whole foily
blend, like blend it in. Yeah, blend it in like nicely.
One more question before we announce our hamper winner. Rue wants to know, Vongai, what is your Revlon shade?
My Revlon shade in the Color Stay, the tube one, what is it? The full cover foundation is 420. Like that's my perfect shade. And then in the Revlon Color Stay combination to oily skin is Mahogany Akajo. There's two shades.
Caramel. Caramel in the combination foundation for combination skin. And then in the matte one, I think I used almond. Yes, almond. To clean up.
So while Mihlali is cleaning up, we are going to announce our winner for the eye hamper. So the winner for the eye hamper is Kia Jane Mofosho. Congratulations, you are the lucky winner of the eye hamper for you and your mom. And congratulations.
It's a lucky day.
Please close. Perfector.
Okay.
You have your lashes, girl. How do you feel?
I feel good.
Let me just highlight your inner corners. I'm just going in with a gold shade from the Player palette.
Should I close my eyes?
No, please open. Perfect.
Amazing. And that's it from our two beautiful ladies. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really hope you enjoyed all your questions. Let us know what your thoughts of the live stream are. Leave us a comment or hit the like button and share with all your friends and family to show us some love. We hope to see you soon.
Yeah, so the live is still gonna be up on the Revlon page, so you can always check it out anytime.
Yes, and share it.
Thank you, Mimi.
Thanks. I hope you like your makeup.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Bye, guys.